Thank you very much, Comrade Brown. I'd like to welcome you, members of the press, to our first presser for the year 2023. I want to also wish you a very successful 2023, and I hope we will continue to work together as we go through this year, which is really an important year on our calendar, in the sense that this is the year where we are going to have our 2023 general harmonized elections. And I'll talk about elections preparations later. First of all, I wanted to talk about affiliates. We have witnessed a proliferation of organizations and coming in the form of such and such for ED. We have young women for ED. We have farmers for ED. We have lawyers for ED, etc., etc. Now, we welcome the proliferation of these organizations, which are in the main there to support the party, there to support the president, there to support our objective of achieving 5 million plus voters for the president and the party. However, we would want these organizations to be formalized. They have to apply for an affiliation status. You don't just come one day and you say, well, we are journalists for ED. You need to go through a process where you apply for affiliation status. You apply through the commissariat department. Normally they will tell you what is required of you, that you must have a constitution of your organization. You must have a list of those executives that form the leadership of that organization. You must indicate when you last met or when you first met in coming up with your elections and coming with an approved constitution. Once the commissariat is happy, as in most cases, then we forward a recommendation supporting your application to the Department of Administration, which will eventually offer you or grant you the affiliate status. Now, we would want to appeal to these affiliates or to these organizations wanting to be accorded the status to do so as I have described. We find there are organizations coming forward. They are applying for status, but at the same time, they come and say, look, can we have loans for our projects? Affiliates are not formed to get loans from the party. The party does not give any loan for projects. Those organizations who would want facilities for their projects, for their membership, or who want to benefit from empowerment programs are free to do so and approach other relevant departments of the party which promote empowerment and startup projects. They can also approach government in terms of those institutions that promote startups, small businesses, joint ventures, etc. They can also approach institutions such as the Women's Bank and the Empowerment Bank in terms of funding for their projects. And we encourage them to do so. We would also want to make sure that those affiliates that have already been accorded the status, whenever they have issues, whenever they want to approach the party, their link with Zanu PF is through the Commissariat Department. We do not want confusion where some affiliates go to the Finance Department, others go to the Information and Publicity Departments, just to use some of these few departments as an example. Their link department is the Commissariat Department. We would also want to urge the chapters of these affiliates in the various provinces to liaise regularly with our provincial structures. So if you have chapters of your affiliate in Midlands, in Masvingo, in Manicaland, we would want you, as a matter of course, to keep liaison with the relevant structures in that province. We will, as we go about our work in those provinces, would like to visit these provinces and to give support to the affiliates in these provinces to ensure that they follow what they've set out as objectives in their constitution. We would also want the affiliates to keep registers of their membership. What we would want to discourage is where affiliates are formed around the membership, existing membership of the party. We would like to believe that most of those affiliates who are supporting the party and supporting the president are looking at getting new members eventually who come and join Zanu PF. Therefore, so that we avoid, as it were, fishing from the same pond. I would like now to turn to the issue on delimitation. As you are aware, the delimitation report has now been submitted to Parliament, which means it will now be subject for debate by legislators in Parliament, who will make their own observations and recommendations, which will eventually be submitted to ZEC. We would like to believe that our legislators will exercise their minds in making sure that they offer their observations and recommendations to ZEC. However, as a party, we want to call upon the provinces to use this window that we have at the moment to go on a full throttle in making sure that our members in Zanu PF are registered to vote. We have information that a lot of our members who appear on our cell registers and who are not registered voters are not registered because they don't have the required documents in terms of either birth certificates or IDs. Again, we would like to appeal to the leadership in the provinces to ensure that these members obtain the required documents as soon as possible, and that the same members register as voters. Where provinces have challenges in terms of logistics, we would like them to call upon us to ensure that we offer them the appropriate assistance. We also want to call upon the authorities in terms of ZEC and in terms of Home Affairs to ensure that they also give us maximum support in terms of their service, in terms of voter registration, and then also the issuance of the required documents. As you will appreciate, there are our members who are in the rural areas, a lot of them very far away from the centers where you find registration taking place. And sometimes very expensive for them to travel to those centers. Therefore, we need to ensure that there is extensive decentralization of that service and that we do have mobile registration being made available in areas where people have to travel long distances to go to the centers where they get these services. So I would like really to appeal to our authorities to come to the party, but more importantly, for all the structures in the party to use this window at the moment to ensure that everybody who is eligible to vote registered as a voter, and that whoever is eligible to register as a voter has the required documentation if he or she doesn't have that in place. And finally, I would also want to urge our supporters that we are now gearing up for the various campaigns in all the provinces. And I'm happy that all our structures are ready to drive the campaign strategy. And in that regard, I really want to call upon all our members to shun any form of violence. as His Excellency the President, Comrade Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, he said time and time again that Zanu PF does not condone any act of violence. We don't believe that when you are violent or you perform acts of violence, we don't believe that it gives you votes. In fact, it gives you alienation. Why should I vote for someone who comes and beat me up? In any event, when I go into the polling booth, I'm on my own. There's no way you can know whether I voted for you or not. So it is on that basis we believe that we have adequate strategies to get people to vote for our party. We are already getting overwhelming requests by members of other opposition parties who are joining Zanu PF. And that hasn't come as a result of violence, but through persuasion and through what they see as the success stories of Zanu PF in terms of government programs in a number of areas. And therefore, once again, I would like to appeal to our members that let's shun any acts of violence. I'm happy that the recently completed conference by the youth, which was an induction and orientation program for the new executive of the Youth League, that the secretary for the youth, Comrade Machakaire, came out and reiterated that as a new executive of the youth, they would continue to call upon members of the party to shun violence. We are quite confident that all our structures are now ready and that our systems, it's all systems go from now going on. Our campaigns until the date of the election. I thank you. Are there any questions that you might have, which I'll gladly answer? Yes.
When do you expect the party to hold the primary elections?
I don't have any dates as yet, because, as you are aware, we are carrying out a number of consultations, as we always do. And once these consultations have been done and groundwork covered, we will be, as Commissariat, engaging our leadership to get guidance and direction in terms of when primary elections will be held. But more importantly, it's not just the date, but also to talk about the guidelines of those who want to participate in these elections, the input of the party in terms of the caliber of those who must stand up and represent the party. We don't believe it's just a question of someone coming up tomorrow and say, I want to represent Zanu PF. We would like to make sure that people who come forward do meet the requirements that will have been set by the party before they can stand up, campaign to represent the party. So once these exercises are through and these consultations have been carried out and engagement with leadership, I'll be able to indicate not only the date, but also the rules of the game. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Zanu PF. I want to ask if the party has gone through the delimitation reports, and if you have gone through it, what are your thoughts on it? Because there are some reports that are saying the party is not ready with the reports, with some affiliates like Women Believe in Country for 18 calling for the rebate and return of the delimitation exercise.
We received the report, but as you are aware, a delimitation report is a technical report. It's not just something that you see and you are in a position to make comments. We are in the process of analyzing that report, analyzing from a technical point of view, where we would like to see, to identify areas that we see where changes can be made. And it's too early for me to be conclusive, but to say we are in the process of analyzing. And what we believe of throwing away the report or accepting the report, our focus is to study the report and make observations. And where those observations have been made and where recommendations are necessary, to make those recommendations and also to avail those observations, particularly from a technical point, to our members of parliament for them to debate. So our focus really is to make observations and make recommendations. Where there were issues that we want raised, we would want these issues really to be taken into consideration. But as I said earlier on, as far as the party is concerned, delimitation report or no delimitation report, our role as a party is to make sure that our members are registered voters. As you are aware, at the moment we don't have candidates in terms of parliament. We don't have candidates in terms of local authorities. The only candidate that we have is the president. And the president's constituency is the country. And therefore, we are not really, that is really our focus, to ensure that our people are registered. And once MPs go through the report, recommendations made and submitted to ZEC, whatever the outcome, we are ready to make sure that those who want to stand for the party, then we will be there really to support their campaigns. Thank you.